Hey there, do you see your vision clearly? Did you do the vision session? That's what I want to know. It's time for us to get more clarity. Yeah, that's what this episode is going to be about. Welcome to What Keeps You Up at Night podcast. I'm your host, Kiné Corder, the leading national certified counselor specializing in financial hypnotherapy for stress. And as you may know, I am building the world's largest global barber network offering mental health and money systems. That is what I do during the day. What I do on the side is this podcast. And what this podcast is all about is to help those who are worried or, I don't know, struggling to figure things out. This is an outlet to help you think about it a different way. My job is to bring you awareness and some insight. And last week, which actually was a few minutes ago, if this outfit looks familiar, last week, I suggested that you do a vision session and I offered it for free. It's still going to be another link. You can, if you didn't take it last week, just do it today. There are a couple of free things in that resource link. And then there's also a way to book a session with me. Um, I also suggested that you subscribe to this YouTube channel because if you do that, then what you're worried about, what keeps you up at night, will become less because we'll work through those things. You also have the option of sending me of I don't know, a response that says, hey, this is what keeping me up at night. Can you do an episode about this? And I will do it. I actually will. I have. If you've seen some of my past videos when I respond to a listener, or in this case, a watcher. Is that the right way to say that? So you got your vision. We talked last week about what goes into those visions. That vision, it is the 7 prosperity pillars: the wealth, the health, the relationships, the reputation, the recreation, the time, and the location. And and that makes up like what you want your life to be about, how you envision your life. I call it visualize your prosperous life. So now you have visualized your prosperous life. The next thing you need to do is gain some clarity. I also talk about this in the Prosperous Barber Journal. So if you are a barber, you don't have to be, but if you are a barber and you want to get clear on how to retire, if you want to get clear on how to increase your revenue, to keep your clients' retention, right, and then also to have systems in place that allow you to get referrals and just keep doing what you're doing, but do it at a higher level and make more money doing what you're already doing. That's what the Prosperous Journal is all about, Prosperous Barber Journal. So you get your vision, you got your vision, you're seeing things clearly, you're seeing what the money needs to be, you're seeing what the health changes need to happen, you're seeing where your relationships need to increase, maybe. But what if you're not? What if you need more clarity? What if you're like, I don't know exactly. I know what I want, but I have no idea why I'm not getting it. This is what we talk about in the clarity part. In the clarity part, I have about it's like 20 questions that I ask you. Some of them will go back to your vision, like what do you want? What do you need? Which are sometimes two different things. Actually, most of the time, two different things. What you want and what you need. A lot of times I find that people have opposing goals. This is where the clarity comes in. This is what I am excellent at. Is I can see the opposing goals so easily, even though people don't always see them themselves. And they would are like, oh my gosh, like that's so simple. Why did I not see that? That's not your gift. That's my gift. You have your gift. I have my gift. Mine is to see what you're not saying. I hear silence and I can read what that is, to read between the lines kind of thing, but on a whole nother level. And so that's what I'm here to help you do is look deeper so that you get that clarity that you're looking for. And so when I ask you what you want, don't be surface, like really go there. What do you want? And then when you think about what you need, that's going to be around the obstacles you have, the patterns that you keep repeating and how you get out of them. And then from there, we got to go to, okay, so what you want, what you need, what else is like missing. What's in the way? What's in the way? And what are you afraid of? Hmm. Yeah. I have some videos about asking for money. Many people are afraid to ask for money. When I work with barbers, they're often afraid to raise their prices. Some of them don't even ask for the money that they have. You might have a system in place where when they book their appointment, they pay. But then what if you want to upsell them? Then what? From the chair, you want to upsell them. Then now you got to ask for more money. Now, many barbers are okay asking for when they get familiar and they're like, that number sounds easy. Let's say your cut costs $50. You've been saying that for 3 years. It sounds easy. Rolls off your tongue. You're like, $50. Let's go. Let's get it. 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. And then once you get that $50, you feel comfortable with it. And what happens is after that $50, if you need to upsell them or you need to get to that next level or you need to add a service, then you get nervous. That's what I'm talking about. So if asking for money makes you nervous, then that's a place where you're going to have to get over in order to get to your vision, because I don't know what that number is for you, but I imagine it's not what you have right now. Normally when I talk to people, they're not telling me, "Oh, my number, I got it. I'm right here. This is it." They're like, "Yeah, this is good, but I want this." Even when I talk to multimillionaires, they still want more. So, I know you want more. If that means you have to get comfortable asking for money, receiving money, and ultimately having money. Because believe it or not, many people are not comfortable having money. Even billionaires, I know they make you feel like they are, but they're not. And a lot of times they are the reason why they fluctuate. You don't see their fluctuation because it doesn't feel the same way it feels for you when you see a billionaire lose a lot of money. You're like, oh, but they still have hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah, but they live like they have billions of dollars. So that's a problem. They're living check to check. They're still, barely making it, even though that sounds crazy. So, but when you're overspending. Now, billion is ridiculous amount of money, and I'm sure you're going to be like, no, I can't receive that, Kiné. I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds crazy to me. And because of that, let's lower that number. let's get to the thousandaire number so you can feel more comfortable. I'm comfortable with all the numbers, but let's get to that thousandaire number. And let's just say that your number right now is multi six figures, or maybe it's below seven figures, but you have a number and it's higher than the one you're at now. Some of the things I want you to be thinking about is when you think about what keeps you up at night, what is it? Is it your relationships? Is it the money? Is it your health? Is it where you live? Do you want to change locations? That's the clarity you need to get that vision to come to life. Once you start getting that clarity, then remember what I said last week if you watched that video, if you didn't go back, and I talked about how the vision has to become familiar. And then as it becomes more familiar, there is going to be some discomfort, because remember, the brain goes towards familiar, right? So this old life that you have, if you keep visualizing this new life you want, then the old life, the one you currently have, is going to become uncomfortable. And because the brain does not like unfamiliar, and this is going to be unfamiliar to it, and it's going to want more and more and more. And the more you already clear on, it's the vision you have. And so it's going to see that as familiar. And it's like, what are we doing here? This is unfamiliar. I don't like this. I don't like this. And it's going to make shifts to get you to what is familiar, but it has to be uncomfortable first in order to get you to that comfort. So if you feel that discomfort, don't worry, it's okay. So that's a little bit of clarity that I want to give you right there. And for some of you, that was a big aha moment. You're like, ah, and maybe you just felt a little bit more comfortable in that discomfort, a little bit more comfortable with change. I hope that's what it did for you, because it does usually do that for clients that I work with, and it feels good. It feels really good. So when you do a clarity session with me, and I don't have a free clarity session. So if you do decide, this is as close as you're going to get to a free clarity session with me. So I'm giving you some of the questions that I asked, like, what do you want? What do you need? What's in the way? Those questions. Of course, I always ask what's going well. That's the very first question that I ask you. What's going well? And then I also want to know, why is now a good time for you to take on this shift? What is happening in your life? For me, it was a year ago when I realized, oh shoot, I'm still not on track for retirement. And I left the barber industry to get on track for retirement. And I've done so many things. I became a financial advisor. I ran financial advisory practice for a few years with Morgan Stanley. And then I decided to become a financial therapist. I went back to school, got my master's in clinical mental health counseling. And I worked as a therapist for a while, a couple of years. And then I really wanted to bring that money part back in there. So then that's how I switched to the financial hypnotherapy. Now, I've always been a hypnotherapist as soon as I graduated from my master's program, I immediately went to a hypnotherapy program. So I've only done therapy that way, which is why I love it so much. It's not a lot of sitting around talking about your feelings as much as it is about getting into your subconscious brain so we can make any shifts that you need in order to get the clarity and then get where you want. I call it expanding. So we clear out what you don't want in your life and we expand you to what you do want in your life. Most of that stuff happens in my retreats. And so more questions, going back to the questions I asked you when it comes to clarity, is describe your childhood in 3 adjectives. So when I'm talking to you, again, this is different than talk therapy. I'm not getting you to tell me long stories and about the time that your mommy said this and your daddy did this and your sister did this or brother did that. The teacher said this to you. We're not really hashing up all of those stories. I am asking you a lot of high level, and then we are going to ask your brain to go back to the defining moment. So there's usually an event, and that's the only one we need to rehash. Those other ones were just repeat of that one. So we need to go back to that event that created the feeling. So if you say, "Oh, my childhood was chaotic," you say, "Oh, my childhood was happy. My childhood was calm, peaceful." Or if you're saying things like, "Oh, my childhood was strict and confusing." These are words that I've actually heard people say. And so when I see that, when I hear that, okay, let's go back to that event that made you feel like your childhood was chaotic, because it was a first event and then it was like, wow, this is chaos. And then you're like, yep, yep, yep. You just had more events happen to prove that idea that you had that your life was chaotic or strict or boring or lonely or fun or exciting or whatever the words you use to describe. So that's another question that I ask almost every session. I have to ask that question. If you've ever worked with me, because I know there are 3,000 of you here, some of you have worked with me. If you've ever worked with me, you know that some of the questions I ask are different than what normal therapists ask. And the reason I do it differently, well, I was trained this way, so I didn't make this up. Some of what's in the self-sync system, I did make up. And the reason why I say I did, because I blended a lot of things together. And that's what the self-sync system is all about. It is understanding yourself, where a lot of therapy is external, a lot of coaching is external. I want you to go internal. Internal, that's where the clarity is going to come from. The clarity is going to come from internally. You leading a life where you feel the feeling, like it feels like you want it to feel. You feel a sense of, you feel a sense of calm, a sense of peace, a sense of, I call it yumminess. And then when that feeling is not there, it usually is a yucky feeling. Now, remember, when you are shifting from the unfamiliar to the familiar, you're going to feel that yucky feeling. That doesn't mean this is not right for you. So I need you to get past that feeling. And that's where when we work together, that's why we work together, so I can help you get past that feeling. You're not going to need me forever if we do work together. You having access to this What Keeps You Up at Night podcast, if you're a barber and you're part of the Prosperous Barber Journal and the Prosperous Barber League, then that's what's going to help you keep going, ongoing. You have some access, you have something to keep you going. That night routine, that morning routine, those things keep your time in between. It allows you to manage that stress because the stress is not going away. Life has stress. Okay. It's okay. So the clarity you get is not to make your life perfect. The clarity you're looking for is to make your life flow, to make it so that you feel the yummy feeling more often and not the yucky feeling. The yucky feeling of shift and change will happen because life is full of it. Things will come your way and you'll have to make some shifts. This is why we plan, because and prepare, because there are things that are going to come in your life that you'll just have to be prepared for. You can't plan for it. And that's okay, because once you put that foundation in place, then you can shift, and you have that agility, yeah, and that flexibility already baked in to the plan, right? So clarity is the next step. So vision was first, clarity is second, designing your life is third. Now, I'm not going to do an episode on designing your life because we would have to go through every one of those. Maybe I could. I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to make that decision right now. But usually a design session is done over 2 days. It's done in a retreat. And it really could be done in one day. If somebody was like, no, can we just do it in one day? I could do it in one day, but I can't do it in the 20, 30-minute episode. And so we really dig down deep. Now that you have the vision, we've clarified what is in the way. Then the next thing that we're doing is designing, like, what does this look like in every area of your life? And we're going to really get clear on each one of those areas. What is in the way, what is going well, and what needs to shift. What needs to shift. And I mean, like, clear what needs to get cleared out of the way, but also where do you need to expand so that you're higher, that you're bigger, you're stretched. And that's what it's all about. So let's wrap this clarity part up with just a few things. One, I already told you, when it comes to clarity, you're going to be asking a lot of questions. You're going to really get clear now that you have the vision on what's going well, like what are you already doing well? What needs to change? Where are you not? Where are you having some obstacles? Where are you seeing like, oh no, this isn't working out the way I wanted it to? Where do you feel like you need to adjust? And then what will it take? What will it take for you to adjust? Because it's not always in your brain. You might have to really dig deep and think about this. It's not in your conscious brain, I should say. It is there in your brain, but it's not in your conscious brain. You're going to have to dig deeper, subconscious, to really pull it out. And it might start to come out in your dreams. And after you do your vision and you continue to do your vision over and over, and then you continue to ask yourself these questions, wait for the answers. You don't have to get them immediately. I don't even always get them immediately using hypnotherapy. Sometimes the brain is like, no, not ready for that. We're not talking about that right now. And I trust the brain. I work with the brain. And so I'm like, okay, we don't have to talk about that right now. What would you like to talk about? And so we just go where the brain is ready to go. And as you begin to go back, and then you go back and you go back a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit, and you keep allowing yourself to go back and go back into that incident that created some of this yucky feeling inside of you, and what makes you do the same thing expecting a different result, and the thing that makes you afraid. Maybe you feel like you're inadequate, or maybe you feel that lonely feeling. Whatever emotions you're feeling that happened to you when you were younger, you can become aware of them right now, not so that you can go back and get on those people. You did this to me, and you did that to me. And here, let me give you this last thing. Is it okay for you to be okay, even though what happened to you was not okay? That is a question you'll have to ask yourself. That is a question I ask every person I work with. If they answer no, then we don't have anything else to talk about. If they say yes, then my next question is, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, I should say 0 to 10, 0 being I'm not doing anything, nothing, zero, zilch, nada. 10 being, I will do everything it takes to get to this vision. This is what I want. I know it is what I want. Everything inside of me says it's time. Where are you? And depending on what number they choose will determine whether we work together either. I'm going to tell you this. If you pick a number yourself that's lower than 7, you're not ready. But that's okay. At least you have some awareness. If you're like, oh, I'm kind of like a 5, and just be honest with yourself. And you'll know if you start and stop and start and stop and start and stop, then you know you're just a 5. And nothing wrong with being a 5. It's just not a 10. And that means you have more time to go. And so maybe you need more pain. Maybe you need to feel more pain, right? Maybe you need to feel maybe a catastrophic event, like a life-changing event needs to happen, and it shifts you, because that happens sometimes where you're just like, no more, I can't take it anymore, right? And so whatever it is, but just ask yourself those questions. And that kind of wraps up this clarity session. I feel like this was like a session. I didn't even plan on asking you this many questions, but I'm glad I did. And if you have questions for me, put them in the comments. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Look at the link in this description. Go to the resource page and see if there's anything for you. A lot of it is around um the barber. A lot of what I do is this Prosperous Barber Journal and the Prosperous Barber League, and serving barbers and getting them to their next level, and deciding whether I'm going back into the shop and opening my own uh, therapy center or whatever it's going to be called. But the center is where I'm leading. That is my vision. And I am clear on what I need to do in order to get there. So some of what I'm doing now, what you watch me do, and if you want to watch the Build in Public series, I have that as well. Usually I have on my hat and my Lululemon jacket, my $10,000 Lululemon jacket. I keep telling y'all I'm gonna tell y'all that story, but I really am gonna tell you that story. And so I usually have on that. That's how you know it's a Build in Public, because it's kind of like my uniform for my costume. And so I get in that so that I can get vulnerable, and I tell you what I'm doing, and I share with you. It's not when I'm trying to look all pretty perfect and teach and give lessons. No, it's when I'm like, I'm in it with you. Like, this is what I'm going through. And I talked a little bit about it before, but when it comes to what you share, this is the way that I break it down. Here I am teaching, and I need to be at my best, at my highest level. I don't need to be teaching you from my mistakes or my lessons or my experiences. That's not what your life is about. I teach self-sync. So you should be syncing with yourself. I'm teaching frameworks, and that's what you need to know. When it comes to building in public, I'm getting more personal, but I'm not intimate there, because it's still the internet, and everybody in the world does not need to know my intimate business, but I do get personal with you. And then the next level, inside the Prosperous Barber League, I may get more intimate there, because people, they just are closer to me. The closer you are to me, the more intimate that we can become. When it comes to hypnotherapy, though, when you are a hypnotherapy client, I'm not sharing my life with you, because it is not about me. It is about you. And any moment I make this about me is a moment I'm taking away from making it about you. So that's another reason why I don't share a lot of my stories, because I want it to be all about you, and I want you to focus on you and turn within, sync with yourself. And when you do that, life becomes what you want it to be. The vision that you see, the vision that you believe, that you are meant for, becomes reality. And that's what I want for you. And I know that's what you want for you too. So that's all for now. I'll see you sooner. Love you muchly.